Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Build with the CEO. My name is Trevor, and I am your resident CEO of Coach Catalyst, and I'm excited to be here today. We have been talking. Oh, talking into my mic. All right, we'll start this over again. I wasn't even talking into my mic. Welcome, everyone, to Build with the CEO. I am your resident CEO, Trevor, and I'm excited to be here today. And we're going to be talking about today the onboarding process. So last week we talked a little bit about onboarding. We talked about these two concepts of activating belief and eliminating regret. Today, we're going to talk about really this three phases to onboarding, and we'll go into each phase in a little bit more in depth. And so, the reason we're really doing a bunch of episodes on onboarding because I think it is one of the most important aspects of your business. It lays the groundwork for your coaching program. It lays the groundwork for the relationship. And done right, it can be a huge asset. Done wrong, and it can be catastrophic. First impressions matter. They matter. And I think a lot of coaches think about onboarding as like tasks that need to be done, which is fine. There are going to be tasks that need to be done, but we need to be thinking about this as like a welcome mat. How do we bring someone into our coaching program and not just vomit on them in day one? Because that's what a lot of coaches do is they're just like, hey, here's the email with here's my waiver, and here's my terms and conditions, and here's the assessment that you need to fill out, and here's 3 videos about, our program. Good. And then let's, schedule a call. That's just not how people learn. And one thing I think about too is when people sign up for a coaching program, this is a part of their life. This isn't their life. So if you can show them how what you do and what you teach can fit into their life rather than them having to fit their life into, getting this result, you're going to be a lot more successful. And all of this starts with the onboarding process. If you want to know a little bit about the theory, go back and watch last week's episode. But today it's going to be a little bit more tactical, like how to actually build out an onboarding program that works. And we're really breaking this down into 3 separate phases here. So our 3 phases are our welcome and setup phase, and then we're going to move into some orientation and education, and then finally we're gonna finish with some early engagement. And all of these phases kind of really have some unique features to them, and they all have a purpose, right? And so let's just talk about a very common process in bringing someone into your coaching program. So a lot of coaches that do one-to-one coaching or individualized coaching is they do a discovery call or a sales call or whatever you want to call it right from the beginning, right? So they get on with a prospect, and you provide a ton of value for them, 20, 30 minutes providing value. And then, at the end, if it makes sense, we invite them into our program. And once they said yes, they've given you a credit card. Awesome. Like, what's next? All right. So the vast majority of coaches, if they're using Coach Catalyst, they're going to probably be using payments inside of Coach Catalyst because it makes it really easy from a setup standpoint. Everything is just automated, right? So they, send them the correct link. The client goes in, puts in their credit card. It's all in Stripe, and then they hit submit. And then we've already created the fulfillment. So what happens once they purchase? And for most one-to-one coaches or individualized coaches, coaches that are doing an individualized process, will put them on an onboarding program. And this also works for group programs and all of that kind of stuff, but I'll just kind of speak to it to the one-to-one coach because it's the easiest. And so they'll put them on the onboarding program that we've already pre-set out. So when they first sign up, once they pay, right, they're going to get an invitation to the app. So we want to make sure that that invitation is set up for our business. Inside of Coach Catalyst, you would go into settings, you'd go into notifications. You click that little avatar down on the bottom left, then settings, then notifications. And we want to make sure that that welcome email and that welcome text message are set up for our account. Okay. So they, it says what we want it to say. If we have a branded app, all that stuff is changed out so that we have our branded app in there and it links to the correct apps. And it's just a really clean process. Right? If you want to ever test this, just go in, use your testing account in Coach Catalyst, and then resend welcome notification. That will kick these out to you, and you can see what that process looks like. But on day 1, they're going to get that, because the last thing we want after we get someone's credit card and run their credit card is to just hang them out to dry. Right? We don't communicate with them for a few days. We want to get them started on things right
after they purchase. And right when that transaction goes through, boom, they're going to be getting that email and that text message to get them set up on the app. That's really, really important. Remember, because we're trying to activate belief and we're trying to eliminate regret. Okay, the fastest way to eliminate regret is to get them started on the process right away. If we leave a gap between credit card ran to first engagement, there's a lot of room for regret to build. Was this a right decision? Is this person going to be able to help me? And so we want to get that started right away. And that's one of the reasons why when that credit card runs, they get that invitation to the app. So they get inside of it right away. And then what I like to do inside of that welcome email is I like to tell them that, like, hey, today the goal is to get you to download the app, and then tomorrow will be the start of your program. So make sure you look for a video from me tomorrow right on the home screen of your app. But I put that in the email and the text message so the client knows right from the get that that's the expectation of what's going to happen, right? If we lay out the process a little bit for the client and show them what the expectations are, there doesn't leave much room for regret. And I also like to talk about this on the call too. We like to kind of lay out what the onboarding process is going to look like so they know what to expect. So, all right, phase one of the onboarding process. This is like welcome and setup. The purpose of this phase is to build some momentum, eliminate any confusion, and prevent buyer's remorse. Right? That is the feeling that we want to get rid of as quickly as possible, and you can get rid of it by building some momentum. Right. So what I like on day one of a program is a video from you, not just typed out words. It is a video from you. Coaching is a human connection, and we want them to be connecting with you from day one. And the best way to do that is video. Now, think about how people consume video in today's world, right? Most people aren't watching 30, 40, 50-minute videos. A lot of people don't have time for that. Most of us serve kind of a busy market, right? A busy person market, busy moms, busy business professionals, whatever. They're busy, right? So we have to respect that in this program. And we can't ask them to watch a 30-minute video. Think about short, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, get your point across, right? And you're going to have plenty of time over the next 3, 5, 7 days to do more videos. So don't feel like you need to get it all in on the first one. Really, something simple. Hey, what's up? My name is Trevor, and I'm super excited for you to be part of this program. Over the course of the next 7 days, we're going to onboard you into our coaching program. This is a really important process for us because it allows us to get to know who you are, what your goals are, and make sure that we are providing the best possible service. So over the course of the next 7 days, I'm going to give you one task to do every day for 7 days. We want to start building some momentum and some belief that you can do this, because I believe in you that you can do this. And don't worry, every step of the way, we are just a click away. All you need to do is click the message and send us a message, and you'll be able to talk with myself or my team or however you have this set up, right? And so today, the only thing I need you to do is on your home screen of your app is going to be a form kind of down at the bottom. That's our terms and conditions, right? All I need you to do is just take a quick glance through that and then type your name into the box and submit that, and we're good to go for today. And then I'll be back tomorrow with another video and another task for you to do. So it should only take you a couple minutes today, so get to it. If you have any questions, just hit the message button, right? Something really simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. And if you need help with it, right, just type into ChatGPT to give you a script 3 minutes long of a welcome video, and then you kind of massage it a little bit to make sure it's yours. Or if you like to work off of an outline, kind of like what I do, you could just have some talking points that allow you to get through it. Right. So day one is always a welcome video. Okay. Day one is a welcome video. It needs to come from you. And honestly, I like a video every single day. I think if you can make it happen, do it. Easy things for videos. I like Vimeo. It's really easy. It sits on my Chrome browser. I can just hit record and it'll pop up. A lot of coaches use Loom for their coaching practice. That could work out just fine because you can embed those directly into a lesson inside of Coach Catalyst. You could use YouTube. You can use Riverside, something like what I'm using right now to broadcast all of this stuff. The beauty with Riverside, it does give you some editing capabilities. Vimeo does have a little bit of editing as well. I don't know about Loom. I'm not an active user of it, so I don't really know how that process works. But you can do a little bit of editing, but don't worry about making it perfect. I mean, literally, you could be grabbing your phone and talking to your phone. And so the less polished, the better, because it shows that you're human, right? But we want them to see you. We want them to see your face. We want them to see your mannerisms, right? If you're watching this video right now and I've never met you before in person, and we did meet in person, even though I have no idea what you look like, you know what I look like. You know that you know some of my mannerisms if you've watched a few of the videos. And then when we meet in person, you're going to feel like you know me, right? And then after we have a little bit of a conversation, I'm going to feel like I know you a little bit better. And that's how we build connection, right? And so you want your clients to be feeling connected to you as their coach right from the start. And the cool thing about video is we can do that at scale. Whether I send one person through the program or 50 people through the program, right? I can build that connection at scale. And then if we add the reciprocal aspect of it, of you getting to know that client as well, then that's going to create a really strong connection, really strong bond. Okay. So day one, always video. Day two. Okay. If we didn't do this on day one, day two is probably some sort of assessment. Okay. We want to learn about this client. Okay. If you're doing nutrition coaching, if you're doing fitness coaching, like we need to know a bunch of information, right? Like how many days a week do they work out? Do they have access to the gym? Are they allergic to peanuts? Like all of these kind of things, right? We should have a fairly intensive assessment form for that client so we can really understand everything about them, because then it allows you to take that form and then bring it into the first call with that client, and really have a good understanding of what that client's life looks like. And you can ask questions, follow-up questions, and you can start helping that client execute right away. So that assessment form, I think, is really important depending on the type of coaching that's going to change. We do have a done for you assessment form. If you click the little question mark in the bottom left corner of Coach Catalyst, and you'll see a little pop-up that happens. Go into the articles, and then just type in like done for you forms. You'll see the one that we have there, and then you can modify it, tweak it to fit your vibe. But if you need to create your own, really easy to create forms. But we need some sort of like form for them to fill out so that we can have a good idea on what's going on with that client. Okay. And again, I would do a video. Hey, this is Trevor here. Super excited. We're on day 2. And today, the goal of today is for you to fill out our assessment or intake form. This form is going to take you about 10 minutes to fill out, but it's going to give me really good insight into what's going on in your life, so we can help make sure that we tailor the program to you, and that we can make sure that you're successful with this program. And so set aside 10 minutes today to fill that form out. If you do have any questions with it, again, you can just shoot me a quick message or just skip the question. We're going to talk about it in our call anyways. And so just get that done for me today, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, right? And the cool thing about using a form too is if you're using a form inside of Coach Catalyst, right, you have the notification center. So you can sort by clients that have not done our follow-up tab. They've not filled out the form. Cool. And then I can see, hey, who didn't fill out the form, and then follow up with them. Hey, I saw you missed your form yesterday. I'm going to move it today. Can you get that done for me? Right. So it allows you to just see everything that's going on and keep it organized. That's why we like forms, because we can see if they've filled it out or not inside of Coach Catalyst. If it was just like a link out to a Google form, I would probably have an action in there that said completed form, so I don't have to go digging for it. I can easily see from my dashboard how well a client's doing with that stuff. So that's the second piece. Another piece of part of the welcome and setup is the tech setup. What are we going to ask them to use, right? They're obviously using the MyCoach app or your branded app, right? So we should probably do a walkthrough of that app for them. Like that would be a good thing, right? Like, are you using communities, right? Are you using resource folders? Are you using data, right? Like, let's walk the client through the important aspects of the app. Modern day phones have made it so easy to be able to record your screen and talk over it, right? Or record your screen and then use something like Riverside to be able to then record you talking against your, like, there's so many ways to do it. And actually, one of the coolest things right now, for those of you that are Mac users, is you can, I'll figure out what the real name of it is, called iPhone mirroring. So if you've updated to the most recent version of iOS on your Mac and on your phone, you can do iPhone mirroring now. So that allows you to be able to bring your phone up on your screen and then have you up on your screen and then record the whole thing. So you could be talking, you can be moving through your phone, and you can control it all from your computer. So it's a really good way to show demos and that kind of stuff on your phone. We use it all the time with our new coach calls at Coach Catalyst, where I can show the phone all at the same time. So that's a really cool way that you can just record it, and really easy. We don't have to try and stitch all these things together. Android users, I got nothing for you. I don't know what you guys use it or how you even use Android phones. So there's probably something out there for Android as well. And it's probably even easier, but you'll have to figure that out on your own. YouTube, ChatGPT, great things out there. Okay. So our tech setup. All right. A few other things with tech setup. Do you have them download a macro tracker? Are they using macros first? Are they using MyFitnessPal? Although I don't recommend it. Macros first, yes. MyFitnessPal, no. Are they using Chronometer? Are they using another app that you need them to use? Cool. Like, let's just teach them how to use it. Let's assume our clients know nothing, right? Someone coming into your program, let's assume they know nothing. Okay. And that's what our onboarding is. We're teaching them everything. Cool. That's why onboarding can be 5 or 7 days, right? We're setting them up for success inside of our program. Don't just think that they're going to figure it out, right? They're just going to be able to play with the app. They don't have time to play around with the app, right? Tell them what they need to do each day. And I like a single task each day. Day 1 might be a waiver or a contract or a terms, conditions, or whatever. Day 2 might be an assessment or an intake. Day 3 might be a tech walkthrough, right, of the MyCoach app. Day 4 might be a tech walkthrough of the Macros First app. So you teach them all that. Or if you're not doing macros, maybe you're doing workouts, right? How should someone fill out their workout, right? So that should probably be part of the onboarding process. And it should probably show up on the first day they do their workout as well, like as a lesson. How do I fill out my workout? What do you want from them as a coach, right? What information is important for you as a coach? And so if you are online, right, you have to lay all of these things out because you don't have the luxury of being in person and teaching it to them in person. So we have to think about all of these processes. If a client is not doing something the way you want them to do it, it is on you as a coach. It's not on them as a client. If we've taught them, right, it's still on us as a coach because maybe we need to remind them, right? If we've reminded them 2 or 3 times and they're still not doing it, then we can maybe start blaming it on the client. But we want to take responsibility as the coach because it's a really important part of the process. Sorry, I was just looking at the comments here. I got distracted. Go said we have some more powerful options. I'm thinking that's relating to some Android stuff, but I know nothing. But so we want to assume Android rocks. We want to assume that they know nothing, right? And so walk them through every step of the process. And if they're not doing it the way we want them to do it, it's on us as coaches. We need to coach them up and train them up a little bit better. And that's what this onboarding is for. Okay. So we've got our kind of assessments, intakes, terms and conditions, waivers, all that fun stuff. We've got our tech set up. You know, what kind of tech they're going to be using? Do they need to connect Garmin, Aura, Fitbit, things like that? We should kind of show them how to do that. And then after that, we want to think about some clear expectations. Okay. How do they succeed in your program? What do the most successful people in your program do? Okay, it'd be great to just have a really clear kind of expectations lesson with you talking, right? What's expected from you as a coach? What's expected from the client, right? Doing some of that stuff. Kind of, you can almost maybe think about it too as like a little bit of a frequently asked questions type of thing. And so make it really simple, okay? Make it really simple, but every client is going to bring the experiences from previous coaching relationships. And unless you set the expectations for this coaching relationship, they're going to bring the expectations from previous relationships. And they're going to expect you to do it the same way they did it over there. And you don't know what those expectations are. So it's really hard for you to live up to them. Maybe that coach said they follow up with the client within 5 minutes of them sending in a message. If that's an unrealistic expectation for you, you need to set a realistic expectation on what this coaching process looks like. Okay. And throughout this welcome and this setup process, this phase one, we have these little quick wins. And that's where the little daily task comes into play. Quick wins. Maybe it's 3 or 4 days of this, and then they get 4 days in a row. Hey, that's a great win. They've got a streak going of 4 days. We could celebrate that. Hey, great job on getting set up. You're really setting yourself up for success, right? So those are just some thoughts for phase one, welcome and setup. We've got our tech setup. We've got our expectations, right? We don't want a gap from when they pay credit card to when the first thing happens with your coaching business. That should happen immediately inside of the platform. And then we want to start them with lots of video on the welcome sequence. Okay. So that's phase one. Phase two, we're going to move into a little bit more of like an orientation and education. And we kind of blended that a little bit with the expectation of the coaching process. But now we want to really get into the program. Okay. How does your program work? Right. Do we need some walkthroughs? What are you going to expect of your clients with regards to the program? Is there a lesson every day that we want them to read? Well, then a big piece should be about like, all right, how does that client set up a routine where they read the lesson every day? Are they going to read it immediately in the morning when they wake up as kind of part of their morning routine? Are they going to be reading the lessons at night over the lunch hour? Like, this is something really interesting that Precision Nutrition did. And I thought it was kind of dumb right away, but that was a younger version of myself. But their first thing that they had their clients work on was figuring out when they were going to work on the thing. Okay. So they were figuring out when they were going to execute the stuff they needed to do as part of the program. And that's really powerful, right? Because a lot of times I think we just get into just do this, right? Like, cool. But do they actually have the setup to be successful with that? What's their environment like? Right? How does it fit into their routine? Because we're probably asking clients to do things that don't fit in with their current routine, right? So they need to find a way to put it in their current routine. And they're probably going to forget a lot of the time if they haven't set it up, right? They haven't stacked it with something else or paired it with something else because it's just not part of their routine. This is why one of the reasons we suggest every coach that uses Coach Catalyst to, when their clients download the app, and I should have put this as part of the onboarding, but they grab the My Coach app or the branded app and they drag it all the way to the home screen, right? Because when you download an app in today's day and age, it goes to page 52 and it gets buried. On iPhones, it doesn't even get on your home screen, any of the pages of your home screen. It goes into your app library, right? Push notifications don't work the way they used to. There's just too many of them. But badges work really well. So badges don't work unless it's on our home screen. So we need to get that app to our home screen so then we have the luxury of using badges, right? So get that app to the home screen. If they're using macros first, get that app to the home screen. So it's right there in front of them. And every time they open up their phone, they're going to see what they need to do. Okay. So step one is, how does the program work when we're in phase two, the orientation and education? How does the program work? What do they need to know about the program in order to be successful? That may be a day, maybe 2 days, depending on the complexity of your program. Okay. And then let's get into the roles. What is my role as a coach? What is your role as a client? We talked about this a little bit with the expectations, but we might go a little bit deeper, right? What is my role as a coach, right? Is that to hold them accountable? Is that to follow up if they miss a couple days? What is that, right? And what is their role as a client? What happens if they're having a bad day? What happens if they go away on vacation? What happens? Like, let's talk about some of the what ifs. That's where you can get into some of this stuff. And if you need to, script it out, or just have bullet points that you can talk through and then create that video for the client, right? We're going to create a lot more transparency in the program, which is then going to allow us to have a really clear playing field. What are the rules of the game, right? No one can bring any rules from anywhere else because you've set the rules for your game, which is going to allow you to execute at a high level because you made the rules, right? And then the last part of the orientation education is, what should they expect from week to week? Okay. Just kind of lay out the program. What should they expect? Are they going to get workouts? When are the workouts going to be ready? Are they going to have a habit that they're working on? Are there going to be lessons every day? Is there going to be lessons once a week? Is there one day of the week that's like your big education day? Like, what is the layout of the program and what can they expect week over week as part of their program? Do you have a live call that you encourage them to be on, right? What are those things? Just lay them out. Use really plain language. not coach speak. Like talk like you're talking to a fourth or fifth grader, right? We want that. We want to talk in a way that type that a fourth or fifth grader would understand, right? Because now we know that they're gonna understand. Let's get rid of a lot of the, like, you're speaking to a colleague. Let's speak to clients and assume they know nothing. If you do that, you're going to create a really, really incredible experience for those clients. Okay. And then the last phase of this is we want engagement early. This shouldn't just be a one-way conversation of you speaking at the client. We want them giving you feedback as well. And there's a couple ways that you can do this, right? The forms, I think, is a great way because they're filling out the form. You're looking at that form and then maybe giving them a little bit of feedback that shows them that, hey, I saw this, that this came in. Or just recognizing that, hey, thanks for sending that in. I'm going to dig into this and we're going to talk about this on our first call, right? So that's a good way to create some engagement. Another one is maybe to have little simple actions on a day. If I have a video that I want them to see, I might create an action such as like watch the video. That can be really helpful for you to know if they've watched it. And then if they don't mark it off, that's an opportunity for you to follow up with them and quote unquote hold them accountable to executing. Because my guess is one of the reasons why they signed up with a coach is for some accountability. So if you can display that as part of the onboarding process, right, you're going to increase your value to that client because, hey, I got a coach because I need to be held accountable. Cool, that coach is going to hold me accountable. And if you're doing it as part of the onboarding process, look out. Because when you get into the actual program, right, there's no way this client isn't going to be successful, right? So we want these little pieces. And then maybe as towards the end of this, we want a little bit of check-in to see how they're doing. That could be a form. That just could be an automated message, right? That you send out on day 6 or day 7. Hey, we're 6 days into this program. Sometimes people can get a little overwhelmed right now. I just want to give me a 1 to 10 on where your head's at, right? I like these 1 to 10 questions early on in the process because it's really easy for someone to give a response. 8, cool, tell me more, right? Why wasn't it a 6? Why wasn't it a 9, right? We can start the conversation. But if I just ask a really open-ended question that requires a lot of thought to get a response, remember how people deal with text messages, right? We've all done it where we get a text message like, oh, this is so long. I just don't have time to respond right now. And then we just forget about it, right? But if they can respond in under 10 seconds, they'll respond right then and there when they see it. So make that first response really quick. And then we can get a little bit longer after that because we've got the foot in the door, right? The likelihood of us getting a response to a longer response increases after we've gotten a short response right away. Right. And so utilize those a little bit. If you are running a community, maybe there's an introduction into the community, but we want to kind of introduce them to that space as well. Think about this just like you would if you were a host at a party. Right. If you're a host at a party, you may introduce someone to a few other people. You may show them around the party. Hey, where are the restrooms? Where are this? Hey, this is what time we're going to cut the cake at, yada, yada, yada. If you think about it like you're a host to a party, I think you'll do a good job in making sure you execute on all the little pieces to this. Okay. We want them to feel seen. We want them to feel welcomed. We want them to feel like you care. Right. And then some of those other coaching principles, right? Accountability, right? We're going to educate them a little bit. And then ultimately we want to instill that belief. So I like to kind of bleed in throughout the onboarding process, a couple success stories or a couple testimonials, because that just shows the client that, hey, you've done this with other people. Okay. If your story is a big piece of this program, then you may want to talk about your story. Right. In our onboarding for our facilities, we talk about the history of our facilities because we think that's important in someone kind of understanding who we are and that we're not going anywhere. We've been around for 15 years, right? And we're going to be around for the next 20. And so we want those to be part of the process early. And then if you can find a way to celebrate in that first week, celebrate them for, executing perfectly throughout the onboarding challenge, celebrate them for filling out their intake form, celebrate them for accomplishing any other tasks that you want them to do. Celebrating early in the process can be can be really beneficial in how this relationship evolves. Okay. So we can do some of that early engagement with some automated messages if you need to, but this is really important. This part of the coaching process, and like coaching isn't a passive, it's not a passive endeavor. So we need to be all in as part of the process. And if we have the framework and the system set up, you can just come in and you can be a coach, right? But you need to be a coach early on in the process. We can't just set this and forget it. And so don't just think like you're onboarding just like this human being. Like you're really onboarding belief that this person, we're instilling belief in this person that they are going to be successful in your program. And if we can instill that belief in this onboarding process, the rest of the program is going to be much, much easier, right? When someone believes that they can get a result, they're going to put in the work to do it. If they don't even believe they can get a result, then they're going to self-sabotage right from the beginning, right? So a lot of this onboarding is about instilling belief. And so hopefully this kind of allows you to break it down into kind of these 3 phases. I'll go over them one more time here. But we've got our initial phase 1. Think about this like your admin phase, your welcome, your setup. Don't throw everything on the first day. Try and do, 2, 3, 4 days, however many days you need, where you can do one thing a day. Okay, one thing a day. Your program is just one other thing and everything else that this person has going on, right? Especially if we're helping busy people. This is just one other thing. So one thing a day. And then once we get through some of that kind of admin, welcome, setup piece, then we want a little orientation into the program. Talk about the program, what they can expect from the program, what the cadence is, all of that kind of stuff, what their role as a client is, what your role as a coach is. And then the phase 3 is getting some early engagement. We want them engaging back with us. We want to figure out how things are going, how they're feeling so far. Using 1 to 10 type questions can be a great way to get a quick response. But we want some small wins. We want to celebrate those small wins early on in the process. And this may take 5 days. This may take 7 days. This may take 10 days. Depending on the complexity of your program. If you're going to have a client for the next 6 months, 12 months, take your time onboarding them. Right? Take your time getting them into the system so they have a great experience. Okay. And so my challenge to you is really to sketch out your 3 phases. All right. What do you need to include in the welcome phase, in the setup phase? What are the different pieces? Just bullet points. What are the different pieces? Do you have a form they fill out? Do you have a welcome video done? Like just start putting some of that stuff. Okay. What do they need to know about your program? What are some of the frequently asked questions? And then do I have some engagement? Right. So just take your 3 phases and just sketch out a few of them. Okay. Just take like back of a piece of paper, back of a napkin, whatever. Just start sketching it out. Okay. And if you want someone to look at it, feel free to drop a picture in the comment to this. And I'm happy to give you some feedback on it. And so start sketching that stuff out. And then once we've sketched it out, now we can start to build it out in Coach Catalyst or whatever platform you might be using. Right. But I don't like to build inside of Coach Catalyst. I kind of like to sketch first. So if you think about these 3 phases, put all the bullet points that are part of each phase, and then start to build it out and to day by day lessons and actions and forms. And then you start to map it out from there. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of framework on how to be really successful with this. Next week, I'm going to dive into a little bit more automation, where we can automate without dehumanizing, right? That's kind of one of our core tenets at Coach Catalyst is how do we create a platform that enhances the human experience and doesn't detract from it. So we're going to talk about some tech stuff. So definitely show up next week to go a little bit deeper into the automations and the tech pieces to it. But if you haven't yet, we just dropped a scorecard with Coach Catalyst. It's scorecard.coachcatalyst.com, or check out the PS of any of the emails that I send out. It's going to give you a really good overview of your business and where some holes might be. And then if you ever want to jump on a call with us and talk about some of it, we're more than happy to help with that. So that's what we got, right? Your program really doesn't start on the first day that you start your program. The program starts on the day they give you their credit card. And so we want to make sure that we are executing this onboarding process effectively so that you're really setting the stage for a fruitful and successful relationship with this client, which gives you plenty of runway to be able to change their life and help them achieve the result that they signed up for. So my name is Trevor. CEO of Coach Catalyst, and I'll see you next week. Same place, same time. See you later.